I'd like you to do something that's going to be very challenging. I'd like you to stop being a retailer. I'd like you to stop for just a minute being the retailer that you've probably been for 10, 20, 30 years. It's challenging. But I want you to think like a consumer for a second. And sometimes we have a hard time doing that. We have a hard time becoming the consumer and thinking about the consumer. So I'm not going to ask the stupid question of asking how many of you have grocery shopped. All of you have, right? And I want to thank somebody who asking me a great question last night. And it's led me to change actually my introduction for today. Sorry, Magento, but I did. Hope it's okay. But I want you to think about grocery shopping. So whether you shop at Vaughn's or Jewel or Dominic's, or I don't think Dominic's around anymore, Sudbury Farms or Roche Brothers or Publix, doesn't really matter. I want you to think about that experience. I want to think about yourself as a consumer and what you do when you grocery shop. Okay? I want you to think about a key element in grocery shopping. This. You probably didn't even think of that. But I want you to imagine now that you go to a grocery store and they don't have this. Are you okay with that? You okay with going to a Trader Joe's or a smaller grocery shop and saying, oh, that's all right, they don't have carts. That's fine, no big deal. It's not okay. It's not okay because you've been trained to think, when I grocery shop, this is available. This is part of the experience I don't even think about anymore. And that's what I'd like you to think about as we're going through the presentation today. What does the consumer think about? Not what you as a retailer, not what Magento thinks about, not what anybody else thinks about. A lot of people are going to get up on stage and talk to you about their solutions, and there'll be vendors or retailers or whatever. I'm asking you to think like a consumer today. Because at the end of the day, it's about meeting consumer needs. And think about that grocery cart, and if it wasn't there, and how much your expectations would not be met if you tried to grocery shop and they didn't have a shopping cart. So a lot of people ask me, well, why is it so important today? What's so different about today than it has been in the past? Well, in the past, organizations, retailers in particular, had control of information, they had price, they had location. It was all in their hands. And that has shifted. Technology has come in and said, okay, we can do things better, we can do things faster. And so enabling technology has actually moved this over to the consumer side. So for the first time in history, we are actually chasing the consumer, and that's why it feels weird. We used to have product recommendation engines. They came up, we go, oh, let's give that to the customer. E-commerce sites, let's give that to the customer. Mobile web, mobile apps, let's give that to the customer. Now customers are saying, here's what I want, do it. Do it for me. These are my expectations. We are in this age of hyper-adoption. By 2020, mobile phones and tablet commerce will exceed 48% of online retail sales. If you were not in mobile, you'd be behind, right? And you know that now. 5, 6 years ago, you might have said, not a big deal. And what we're talking about today is omnichannel retailing. Omnichannel retailing is not a Monday to Friday exercise. It's an exercise that takes time. And these empowered customers are given rise to this new era where you don't have time. You have to be doing something now in order to enable things you need tomorrow. There's a great quote by a oil baron, I forget his name, but he said, if you want to sit under the shade of a tree, you had to plant a seed 7 years ago. So even if today you're wondering, should I be doing omnichannel? Should omnichannel be right for me? The problem that you have or the risk you face is that if you don't think about it today, and when you do think about it, and when you do want to do it, and your competitors are doing it, you're going to be so far behind that it will take you a while to catch up. How much business will you lose? How many customer expectations will not be met because you don't offer these services? So we say in the age of the customer, you have to address 5 different areas. You have to drive the business with growth and privacy, turn big data into insights, embrace the mobile value shift, accelerate your digital business, and transform the customer experience. We're going to focus on that top right area. It's transforming the customer experience. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we're in this age of hyper-adoption. Things have been adopted at a very fast pace. Look at Adobe Flash here on this side of the screen right near me. It took 19 years to reach 1 billion users. YouTube took 10. Facebook took 11 years to reach 1.4 billion users. If you look at this for a while, you'll notice that the older technologies took years and years, sometimes twice as long as the newer technologies. This is hyper-adoption. Hyper adoption also leads to hyper abandonment. In other words, when customers' expectations are not met, they're saying, sayonara, I don't need this. I got lots of people to shop from. I don't need you. I'm okay to move on. In fact, 72% of online shoppers today would not return to a website that did not provide a satisfactory experience. 72%. That's huge. But this is just one example. As an analyst, I have access to a ton of data. This is just one piece. And we see consumers shopping in a very interesting way. They're researching online, they're learning online, they're understanding online, and then they're going into the store to shop. I'm not going to repeat some of the data that was shared yesterday in another session that was in this very room. But the point is that your online experience is critically important for your in-store experience. And I'm going to prove that in a little bit. But sales and conversions do not reflect the value of most online and mobile touchpoints. Because again, it's not about where I buy, it's about where I have an experience with your brand. And if that experience does not meet my expectations, I'm probably going to move on. Because every time a customer is exposed to an improved shopping experience, their shopping expectations are reset to a new higher level. I cannot stress this enough. When you go to Macy's.com and you have an experience as a consumer, again, I've asked you to be a consumer for a while, your expectations are being set. You're saying, oh, this is the experience that I get. And then when you go to another website, it doesn't matter how big that retailer is. It doesn't matter where they're located. It makes no difference. The consumer does not give you a pass because you're a $10 million company. The consumer says, this is the expectation I have because this was very convenient. My expectations have been reset. And if you don't do that, you're really putting yourself at risk. And you may not even know it's happening. That's the challenge. I worked in retail for 10 years. I have a coworker here in the audience, Andrea, I see her there, right? And we used to talk about all the time, we know what we know, we don't know what we don't know, right? Which is, how much business are we losing because we don't have great experiences? You're not gonna know. So that's the risk you have. So I'm gonna talk through three primary areas, the state of omnichannel retailing, nailing best practices, and understanding benefits and measuring success. So in this statement, which is long-winded and you don't have to look at it, you'll all get a copy of this deck if you want it afterwards. I wanted you to focus on some key words here. Omnichannel retailing is the coordination of channels, experiences, and it creates that seamless customer experience. It's consistent, seamless, and it makes sense to the customer. It's the way they want to shop. And this is kind of what it looks like in a diagram. Because I'm an analyst, I got to build things like this. So this is kind of what it looks like. So all different touch points surrounded by the customer. So why are today retailers implementing omnichannel initiatives? Well, 62% say simply because customers expect it. Let's see if that's true. Here's a survey we did, finding out what customers expect. So right in the middle is buy online, ship to my home. Yeah, y'all do that. That's 95%. No surprise. I don't know who the 5% is that didn't say yes. Buy online, pick up in store, 61%. That's one of the lower numbers. Reserve online is 60%. View local store inventory online, right over here on the top right near me. 89% of consumers expect that. Again, meeting customer expectations, 89%. So when you look at all these numbers, what it really means is at the end of the day, at the very least, 60% of your customers expect omnichannel services. 60%. Are you willing to disappoint 60% of your customers on an ongoing basis as they get trained more and more to expect these services? Probably not. 16% today, 16% of US shoppers use in-store pickup all or most of the time when it is available. Another 26% use it sometimes. Add those two numbers together, that's 42% use buy online, pick up in store. 42%. So again, and here's another reason. 55% of organizations say because competitors are already doing it. That's true. 16 of the top 20 multi-channel retailers offer some form of omnichannel, mostly online visibility to in-store inventory, but a lot of them doing buy online, pick up in store, ship to store, and other capabilities as well. But at the very least, they offer this. And 36% say to gain a competitive advantage over online pure plays. I get phone calls probably every week. How do we beat Amazon? Sorry, Amazon. How do we beat Amazon? If you're a multi-channel retailer, what's the one thing you have that Amazon doesn't really have? Stores. Offer a service they can't offer. They have Prime. You are not going to do streaming videos, right? Like Amazon does. What do you have? You have your stores. How do you use them? How do you leverage them? 31%, when you offer it, people use it. 31% of Toys R Us e-commerce sales are now omnichannel. 31%. There's many organizations that are leveraging this to create better ways of serving the customer. For example, Dick's Sporting Goods, all 558 stores offer online order fulfillment processing, and Finish Line ships more than 50% of online orders from stores. I know an organization that saved $12 million, that's with an M, $million by not having to open new warehouse because they ship everything from the store. Right? So thinking about how these things can save your organization money and how they can work with your business. So let's talk about nailing some of these best practices and top omnichannel capabilities. Let's make the assumption that you do make this move, right? What are some of the things you do to make sure when you do it right? Because we see that a lot. A lot of people try to do something and they want to check that box, right? I'm not saying don't check that box. Make sure that customer expectations are met first. Just because you have the capability doesn't mean you're doing it right. So let's start with enterprise inventory visibility. 75% of customers are likely to visit a store if in-store inventory is marked available online. 75%. Now I want you to hang on to that number for a minute. 3 out of 4 say they're going to visit a store if it shows it's available online. But many customers are unlikely to visit a store without visibility to its inventory. Super shoppers, some of the best groups, 42% say I'm less likely to visit a store if inventory is not available online. That's huge. 33% of millennials said that. 1 out of every 3 customers that go online and don't see if it's available on store are not going to come into your store. Again, talking earlier about you don't know what you're missing. You have no idea. You have no way of measuring that this is happening. None. But this is what's happening. And people say, well, why? How can it be so big? Well, here's why. Because your competitor is a tab away on my browser. Right? It's that easy. And it's appropriate that I say this here. I'm playing Vegas odds at a certain point, right? If I see that this website doesn't tell me whether it's in store or not, this website says it does, I don't care if this store is 10 miles further than this store. I need efficiencies in my life. I'm going to this store. I know it's there. If I can buy it online, even better. I'm going to reserve it. The number one reason people use buy online, pick up in store is not to save time. It's to make sure the product's there when they get there. And that's how customers are using it. So when you see these abandonment rates, or you see these people not shopping with you, again, let me show you something. This is not what you see, but this is what's happening. So the important point is when you do launch this, put it right up front, right? Ask the customer. So here's a great example of a company doing pretty well with Omnichannel. You see there's a pop-up here, local availability. Put in your zip code, we'll make sure you know if it's nearby. And then they back up their guarantee by saying, it's ready in 5 minutes. Now, it's not really ready in 5 minutes. What they mean is that when you get to the store, it'll be ready in 5 minutes. But at the very least, they're offering you some kind of a value if they don't meet expectations, right? So they're kind of telling you, hey, we're serious about this. We take it seriously. It's not just another way of ordering. Buy online, pick up in store is probably one of the most popular things that we see people enabling today. Usually, if not, they do reserve. That's usually a technology limitation. And I'll talk a little bit about technology later. But here's a good example of buy online, pick up in store. You're talking about customers expectations being reset. Starbucks, a coffee shop. I can now, in certain markets, and I'm sure they'll expand it because it's doing very well, in certain markets, I can actually pre-order my coffee or pre-order things so that when I get there, it's ready for me, right? How many people, I'm not going to ask, but I'm sure a lot of you have at least Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks app on your phone, right? If you're in this business, you probably do. If you're a retailer, you probably drink a lot of coffee. But this isn't all about the customer. It is about yourself as well. And being able to serve customers in different ways. So, for example, giving customers a special treat when they use one of these services, like Best Buy, having reserved areas. There's a couple of other companies. There's a it's either Petco or PetSmart does it as well. And then John Lewis, for example, has dedicated stations where you pick up your buy online, pick up in store orders, so you can avoid that line, right, when you're checking out. So this is a way to add value to the experience. And in fact, many retailers report 30 to 40% attach rates for buy online, pick up in store orders. Well, I say this because you're going to see about a couple things out there about what are expectations of the customer. And I want you to hang out of that number about how many people attach when they do buy online, pick up in store. Because a lot of people are like, well, if I have them buy online, they're not going to shop for other things. They will, I promise you. But the key is that you have to, I've been told the back button doesn't work, so I'm just going to stay here for a sec. It's okay, we're gonna stay here. We're cool. You have to have it available in 2 hours or less. That's customer expectations. Again, I see some companies saying, oh, in 4 hours we'll have it available. That's not good enough. People are gonna be like, I'm gonna buy it somewhere else. And you can see a lot of companies offering things like pickup and curbside, right? So when you're measuring the value of what you deliver, make sure you think about this, because curbside pickup eliminates that add-on sales that happen. Ship from store, a lot of organizations offered ship from store to initially invest in them to prevent lost online sales. But ship from store helps significantly balancing and reduce clearing inventory. So markdowns can be reduced. I had one company tell me they reduced markdowns by 30% by offering products shipping from other store locations, right? So you can check if something's out of stock, you check store availability here, and it shows where the product will come from. And they even incentivize you to say, hey, if you can't find it at your local place, we'll ship it for free, right? Ship to store and other convenient locations. So if you're shipping to your store location, where's the value of that? Why do customers want that? Well, in a lot of ways, this helps customers buy from you. When they have that need to buy from you, but they just don't want to pay for shipping. I don't want people to have a cult-like thing against shipping. It's a real service, but people don't want to pay for it. But 50% say that they have the lowest shipping cost, and lowest shipping cost is free, right? And so when you have ship from store and you have big, bulky items or tiny little items, right, that don't meet your shipping thresholds for giving away free shipping, ship to store is a great way to put it on your replenishment truck and get it to your store on other things that are coming to your store and make sure the customer has it available to them. And so you see companies like Walmart, I think it's Toys R Us, and then Bass Pro Shops offering this and pushing it and saying, yeah, use this. It's helpful to us because it costs less for us to ship to the store than it does to your home. So use it, please. And finally, endless aisle, right? So I'm not going to be the advocate that comes out here and says you need to have mobile-enabled associates. If that works for your business, great. But at the very least, you need to be able to have an associate with some kind of tool that they can look up information. 19%, here's a startling number. 19% of consumers feel associates are the best source for information. 19%, turn that around. 81% think somewhere else is the best source of information. What a horrible statistic for the retail industry, who've always considered the store associate the highest value touch point. This is what consumers are saying today. But when we ask them, are you more likely to engage with associates that are digitally enabled, they say yes. And why? Well, because I can place my orders. I can do lots of things. And let's be clear, like these tools allow you to do more than just place orders. But consumers say, I can do lots of things. If someone has a mobile-enabled tool, they can ship a product to me. I can get from another store. They can do lots of things. Again, you're going to get this information afterwards, so I try to build big decks with lots of data so you can look at it afterwards and use it as you need it. And there's some best practices that I've listed here. I'm more than happy to let you go through them as you need to. If you have any questions about it, obviously, feel free. You can take pictures, do whatever you want. But again, you'll have it afterwards if you like. And then I want to talk real quick about the need for technology. So Omnichannel means enterprise inventory is shared and visible across all channels. At the heart of this capability lies an OMS. And an OMS enables you to do not what you want to do. Again, think like a consumer, right? All that really matters is what customers want you to do. And if customers want you to do something and you don't have the technology to do it, you are not meeting customer expectations. So investing in a robust technology, robust OMS that helps serve customers is key. It lies at the heart of that service. There are 3 parts to an OMS that you have to think about. Order orchestration. When I get an order, where's the most profitable place to route that order? That's number 1. How do I route it so I can reduce markdowns? How do I route it so that it gets to the customer faster? How do I route it to certain stores that have the capability to fulfill it versus other stores that may not have that capability to fulfill it? 2, in-store operations. Remember when people come in to buy online, pick up in store, or even ship to store, they come to pick up. Your associates cannot be just without some sort of digital way to go get orders, pick orders, pack orders. I guarantee that most of you have job descriptions for your store associates that do not include pick, pack, and ship. But you gotta have that now. That's part of the requirement, right, to enable omnichannel, because operations is really the hard part. And then order management. I call, I wanna be able to say, well, where's my order? I wanna be able to exchange my order. So all the big OMS providers, all of them, provide these 3 areas for you. And when you evaluate a solution, you should look at all three and understand if they meet your needs. Because by having all three, they actually have expanded the way an OMS approaches the cycle. It's not just about buying, it's about showing inventory during the explore phase, and then how people use that, how people return products, exchange products. And again, I've included this as a slide. If you're building a business case for Omnichannel and you say, I don't know how to do that, first of all, there's a document. If you're a Forrester client, we have a document on that. But I put this in here from that document. It literally says, here are the customer benefits, which are usually not part of a business case, but here are my benefits as a retailer. If you want to convince your CEO or whoever, why should we do Omnichannel? Over to the right there. Those are your numbers. That's how you build a business case. When you look at benefits, cost, future flexibility, and risk, there's your benefits. And there's other people doing certain things. These are tier 2 capabilities. So I'm not encouraging you to do ship to locker, reserve and collect, or all this other stuff. This is tier 2. Get the other stuff done first. This is afterwards. This is more like a PhD, right, in Omnichannel. You're doing this stuff. And finally, think about the metrics that you use to measure this. This is critically important. Understanding the things to your left, right? The things on your left you probably already use. But when you do Omnichannel, you have to introduce new metrics and understand your business. Because again, it's about being successful and meeting customer expectations. Don't check that box. Understand if you're meeting customer expectations. Understand if you're optimizing. Understand if you're doing things profitably. And those are the things on the right. So think about the metrics that you use. Here's kind of a tips for success takeaway. When you go back, over to the left, when I say train field staff, I mean in-store staff. Some of you have outside salespeople. But these are the things when you go to your office on Monday morning, this is your list, right? If you're going, keep this with you and you say, okay, we're going to do Omnichannel. These are the things we got to make sure to do, because these are the areas we see the most people fail to do things in these areas right here. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and showing you some insights about our multi-channel strategy, which we have developed at Fraport. Fraport is the operator of airports worldwide. Frankfurt Airport is the largest one. Now, I believe some of you might know one of my favorite authors, Douglas Adams, author and writer of The Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy. And in one of his later books, he wrote, there is no language on earth that ever produced such a phrase as pretty as an airport. Because most of the times airports are ugly places. I mean, you all know this. Most of the people I talk with don't love being in an airport context, in an airport specifically. We all have our experiences within airports. Mine was, my experience was coming here to Las Vegas. This person, a young lady in front of me in the security line, she had like a very small dog, and she asked the security officer to x-ray the dog because she wanted to find out if he had eaten her necklace. Really, wanted to do this. He said no, out of some strange reason they couldn't put him through this machine, but I guess he eaten the necklace anyway. So it's all about customer experience at an airport. And especially at Frankfurt Airport, which is really a crowded airport, we cannot expand our facilities. We cannot just go there and say, okay, we just make a new terminal, it's nicer, it's bigger, it's better, and then everything goes better. No, we needed to find a way to do this in a more virtual reality on a digital basis. And this is why we teamed with AOE, with Kian, to build up this retail solution we have right here. I wouldn't be sitting or standing here on stage if this on the chart would be the insight I wanted to give you. Multi-channel or omni-channel is right now a common understanding, but imagine what could multi-channel, what could omni-channel retail be in an airport context. This might be a completely different thing. Think about what would you do as an airport responsible person, trying to find out what are my touch points with the passengers and how can I engage with my passengers to improve profits, of course, retail profits, and of course to improve customer experience while being at the airport. Some other things you already know. We heard lots of figures the last 2 days. I think Cisco says there are at least 4.8 billion active users of mobile devices worldwide. In Germany, even every household in Germany has more than 9 digital devices, like mobile devices. So globally, in fact, more people have access to a smartphone than to a toothbrush, actually. This is quite impressive because we see those people, all of those people, at our airport because it's like a melting pot of ethnics, of cultural backgrounds, and of course of technology demands. We have Asian people, we have people from Brazil, we have almost 90% of our passengers coming from foreign countries, and they are expecting from us, like Brendan just told you, they are expecting more. They have their experience maybe made with Macy's or made with Alibaba, and they say, okay, now I'm here at Frankfurt Airport, where can I shop? Is there only this one solution, going to the brick and mortar retail store, or can I do this online while sitting here on my bench waiting in front of the gate for my flight? So, and this is what we came up with. So we have 60 million passengers. It's number 10 in the world, actually, but it's number 1 when it comes to retail stores, when it comes to outlets. We have more than 1,000 brands. Last year it was 55% of the profit the whole airport organization made with retail, actually. Therefore, you have to understand our business model. It's not rent-based. The retailers don't pay a fixed rent. They pay a commission which relates to the sales they make, actually.
Just to add a little scale to that, 50% of the profit means about $500 million. That's a lot more than Amazon makes in profits.
Yeah, that's it. So we're doing really a lot to improve this. And we have very enthusiastic consumers at Frankfurt Airport. To give you a picture, to fill up a Boeing 747, like a jumbo jet, it needs 80 commuter flights coming in from all over the world to fill this thing up and then send it somewhere else, maybe to Asia. And all of these commuter flights, of course, contain precious people for us, like deep-pocketed Russian or Arabian customers. They want to buy the nicest wine we got in stock, talking about like 15,000 euro for a bottle. They want to buy Mont Blanc pens. They come with really huge shopping lists. And our plan was to extend this to a new dimension, to a digital dimension. Not only because we want to make more money, but because we have to defend ourselves. In an airport environment, you're really stuck in the middle of everything. We have our 300 brick and mortar retail stores, but of course they are building up their own multi-channel strategies. And they say to our passengers, here, if you like what we have, just visit us at our web shop, come to our web shop, next time you can order there. So they transfer the profits, the sales, the revenue past our airport. We need to come up with a solution for them so that everything happens in our channels. On the other hand, airlines discover this honeypot. They call it ancillary revenues. And they have one major advantage because they know the passenger, our customer, they know him first. Because it's you, the customer, who books with the airline. And then the airline knows your email address. And then they write you an email saying, okay, your flight is in 2 weeks. Forget about shopping at the airport. We have here this little online shop. You can order your duty-free stuff there, and we deliver it directly to your seat. This is happening right now in Germany. Some smaller airlines are doing this. We need to find some solutions, and this, what we are talking today, is the solution to defend against that. And the last thing is, of course, what I've told you just before, the spatial restrictions. We can't grow bigger in a physical sphere, in the physical space. We can only grow bigger when it comes to a digital ecosystem. And those are behind me here, the opportunities we would like to grasp. We want to embrace the change of customer behavior. They all stick to their mobile devices. We want to make use of this. We want to participate in the e-commerce growth, of course, which is happening worldwide. And we want to combine this with the expected doubling of passenger volume on a worldwide basis. And in fact, create a customer experience that is really unique for an airport and really unique for an airport in a highly competitive environment as Frankfurt Airport is. So those are our opportunities. Basically, what we are doing, I can make this story short. First of all, we try to integrate all channels we have along all the touch points we have with our customers. And I don't mean just the touch points we have, like you open the terminal door, like the first entrance of our terminal, then this isn't the first touch point. The first touch point is when you go, for example, on Kayak, on Expedia, and try to book a flight. This is our first touch points. We have to be there. The next one would be going into the aircrafts. In the board magazines would be like an easy one, but going into the in-flight entertainment systems, that is, for example, what we just said in the keynote, that is the next thing we need to do. We need to reflect all those touch points integrated in our system. Then we build up a connection with our passengers. Only making online sales doesn't make the deal. That's why we invented also a loyalty program, which is kind of state-of-the-art because it's a real-time loyalty program. Whenever you show your card, online, for example, for reserving products, or even offline when you're already in the store, you can collect points. So far, so good. You know this from other mileage programs. But those points are going to be instantly in your mobile device. So in this Frankfurt Airport app, you will see them instantly, and you will be able to redeem them while still at the airport. So imagine you buy a bottle of wine, $600, you get 600 points. 600 points you can redeem for a nice Frankfurt Airport VIP treatment. We have a nice VIP lounge. I encourage you to visit that. There is a room especially built for Vladimir Putin. He wanted to have a boxing court while waiting in that lounge, and you can use it when he's not in there. It's pretty nice. And you can just redeem those 600 points there, have a nice time, wait for your flight, of course shop at our online shopping platform, have everything delivered there, and then being transferred with a BMW or an S-Class directly to your aircraft, no matter which booking class. You can fly economy, we bring it with an S-Class to your aircraft, just for 600 points. So this is quite a nice thing, and we have tried to integrate everything, of course, on our website. The basic stuff, of course, we have real-time information, where to wait, where to skip the lines. You can make a reservation for a parking space, of course. But the real centerpiece is, of course, the Frankfurt Airport shopping platform, which we have also integrated into the Frankfurt Airport app. This is also the most common use case. The people are using our app when they're heading for the airport, for example, when they're still in the hotel, preparing themselves for, I think you can skip to the next one, preparing themselves for the flight. They use our app, they check what's in store. We have a real-time store management, like we know what's in shelf and what's not in shelf. We know when it will be available. We try to compile all those information with the flight data of the passenger, and then we are able to say, okay, we can bring you this bottle of wine to your departure gate. We will be able to bring this thing to a pickup point. Everything is compiled real time.
Another interesting challenge of orientation at an airport is that you can't use GPS because you're indoors, but you have massive areas to cover. So, you need actual devices hanging in all the hallways that communicate to the app where you are actually located, so that we can direct the customers to the right gates or to the right shops and to the right pickup points.
Exactly. So what the magic behind, and Kian will tell you about this in just a few seconds, is really what is the back-end system. It's not only one system, it consists of, I don't know, it's a mess, but you know how to work it out. We have so many things we want to do this year. You can see on this slide just a few of them. We want to offer instant booking for one-day offices. We want to make use of this online shopping platform for buying groceries. Another idea, what we just made the deal. We have 90 restaurants at Frankfurt Airport, and we have 50,000 business travelers each day, German business travelers. Imagine you sit in those restaurants, you really like what you're eating, nice meal, and you want to cook this at home. Then you can scan in the menu this little QR code, and all the ingredients coming together with a video, with the instructions of how to cook it, and of course with the recipe will come, if you want, same day to your home at any address in Germany. You can have it next day or on the day you would prefer, but this is the next big thing, because our retailers said, okay, you have done a lot for us for classical retail. What about gastronomy? What about restaurants? What about dining? And this is what we thought about, how to integrate dining in this multi-channel experience. Yeah, and that's basically it. How did we do this?
I don't know anymore, actually, but it has been quite a ride. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of the complexity, and in all humbleness, you know, I have to admit this was definitely the most challenging project we've ever done. We were basically still doing contract negotiations when we had to nearly go live already. This is how the time pressure was on this project. And to go from basically initiation to launch within 12 months for the first release was very, very challenging. So we actually had to, and for those of you who are Magento integrators or have digital agencies, you know what it means to scale up teams, and we scaled up a 70-people team within a 6-week time frame. Which was pretty insane. The infrastructure now runs on 120 servers or virtual machines, not to brag too much, in 2 data centers. We spent more than 10,000 developer days just in the first year, and you know, we're still working with about half the size of the team now to continue the next rollouts and releases. And we had to integrate with around 35 services and integrations. Just to brag a little bit, this is the service-oriented architecture we built. So as you can see, there is a little bit of complexity there, and what you have to keep in mind is that everything pretty much is real-time. And Fraport, in terms of the sophistication of an airport, is, I would say, definitely among the top 5 around the globe. They have their own supercomputers computing in real time how passenger behavior and passengers arriving at which gate will impact waiting lines at customs, at security, and so on, and then can you know, accordingly manage the system in real time. And so for them, real time is like the standard. So they wanted the BI to receive all of the information in real time. They wanted marketing automation to happen all in real time. They wanted personalization to happen in real time. All of the flight data happens in real time. We need to be able to respond to a gate change within minutes so that the runner doesn't deliver the product to the wrong gate and there's no one there to pick it up. So taking e-commerce to a full retail level where you cannot cache, where you cannot do things asynchronously, it took things really to levels that we have never seen before. To give you a bit of an overview of what the basic infrastructure looks like, there is, of course, the front end, which appears to be the most straightforward piece of the whole puzzle. It is powered by Magento Enterprise and an enterprise search platform that we at AOE have built over the last 5 years ourselves. It's based on Elasticsearch. And these two are really the main components feeding the front-end system. And then there's an app that is and a website that is being maintained internally or by third-party vendors, and they are including our shopping experience into their platform currently. Then the next stage is a pretty sophisticated integration layer, an ESB. We ended up using Mule, if you're familiar with that, for this. And it basically channels all of the information between all of the different systems. This architecture, as you can imagine, is extremely simplified right now because, of course, not everything goes just straight into the ESB and then out of that, they're about into the 4 other systems. There are about 35 different systems that we have to speak to. Also, what we built was a full identity management and customer relationship management system. We used Keycloak for the identity management system, and we used the Oro platform to build a custom CRM portal which manages the retail operations, because Fraport does not manage the CRM in the way you would typically manage a CRM, because they're not their customers directly. So, you know, the retailers have customers. So it's actually a multi-tenant CRM platform that also gives the retailers the ability to customize their product experience to their clients and customers within the Fraport Marketplace platform. Then the other one, of course, is the loyalty program. Then there's the order management system, which was the first time that the new order management system of Magento came to fruition. It is, as you can see, also the most complex case you can try to find for an OMS. Typically, OMS systems have to think one-dimensional, but if you are delivering within an on-premise environment, you have to think three-dimensional, because you cannot just assume that the delivery from gate 1 to gate 2 is the same as a delivery from this shop to that boarding gate or something. And then, of course, there's the whole aspect of payment and fraud management. We're going to launch prepayment very, very soon. And typically you're dealing with people that actually show credit cards in stores, but now we're suddenly dealing with people with Russian credit cards, with Chinese credit cards, with Taiwanese credit cards, with United Arab credit cards, and so on. So fraud management has to be taken to a different level as well. On the retailer side, we built a retailer management portal that closely connects to a product information management system. The retailer portal was completely custom built in Symfony 2, and the product information management system is built on Akineo. So as you can see, and you might have heard, for those of you who are familiar with those names that I just mentioned, this entire infrastructure is 100% built on open source technologies, and this is something that is truly unique in this space, because no one ever attempted to do this before. They would typically go and get a $100 million proposal from Oracle SAP to implement something like this. Then we have the retailer front end, which is a tablet-based system also that Magento provides. And we have the airport carrier graphical user interface that is being used for the fulfillment at the airport with the retailers and so on. And of course, third-party services, which we are also directly managing for Fraport, is the whole call center and all of the warehouse and logistics. So really what Fraport did in this case is they hired us to build, run, and deploy this entire system for the next, hopefully, 50 years or so.
Of course, at least.
The pricing is fixed for 5 years, I believe.
You didn't even sign the contract, the first one.
That is true.
Still open.
That is true. Yeah, so just to give you a little bit more of an idea of the layered infrastructure, which I talked about in more technical terms, is that we're really talking about three separate major areas. One is the front end, one is the business services that surround this whole system, and then there's the back end. And the one thing that I haven't talked about now so much yet, but I talked a little bit this morning in the keynote, is that one of the major challenges from a project management point of view was dealing with the different varieties of sophistication of the retailers that we had to work with, or that we have the pleasure to work with. Yeah. Because it is sometimes challenging. They're all very, very excited about it, and Kai can testify that any retailer he talks to at the airport is like, when can we get on? When can we get on? And we really had to slow this down, because we cannot launch 300 retailers all at once. But no one wants to miss this train, and that has become very, very apparent in this whole project in the last 16 months. Just to give you a bit of an idea of what the order management pipeline has to look like in this environment also is, unfortunately the fonts don't seem to work here 100% perfectly. So Magento kicks off an order workflow into the order management system. That is the Magento system, and then orders get also pushed into the retailer system, which is what the retailers have in their location. And depending on if they have a POS with a web browser, then they use that. And if they don't, so if they really like a small shop, they might just get a tablet from us and use that for their fulfillment. And these systems are very quickly and in real time exchanging stock and orders and deliveries. And the retailer system, and this is also something that is a very unique challenge, is we're talking about multi-retailers. So you as a client or consumer will not necessarily know who is actually fulfilling this product for you, because you might buy a Rolex, which is sold by Chris Jewelry, and you might buy a perfume from Chanel, which is fulfilled by Heinemann, and you might buy some caviar from Caviar House, but you only want to get one package. But there are actually 3 people who are going to have to pack this package for you in 3 different locations, put it all in a bag with your invoice and everything, and get it to you. And this all has to happen in less than 30 to 45 minutes. And one of the goals, of course, was also, and of course for Fraport this was very important for the adoption rate, was, how do we make this possible without the retailers having to do anything virtually? Like, is there a way to make it so easy for them that they don't need an IT department, that they don't need sophisticated experience with omnichannel retail and so on? So a lot of the time and thinking and process had to also go into the ability to make it very, very easy for those partners to do their inventory management, stock, and so on. So this concludes, just to give you a nice idea of how this is being marketed at the airport, and in all fairness, the marketing has not really started yet because we are taking it in an iterative approach. We do want to start the major marketing once the biggest features are all live, which is still a process over the next few months. But here's an idea for how this will look. This is my special favorite for those of you who are not at home that often. When was the last time you saw your wife? And it gives you suggestions of what the appropriate purchase would be depending on the time period.
Maybe adding one thing, we have a huge system of, on the one hand, location-based services. On the other hand, we have digital advertising screens. And we're harmonizing our messages with the incoming flights. So when there is a big Chinese jumbo jet coming in, everything will be in Chinese along the way the Chinese travelers pass through our airport. So this is also quite unique from an advertising point of view, which is more my key profession. Thanks.